Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Carmen and I'm the training coordinator at the Temple Small Business Development Center. The Temple SBDC helps small businesses start and grow. We provide free one-on-one counseling and a variety of low to no cost webinars. We are proud to be a part of the nationally accredited network of SBDCs with over 1,000 centers across the United States. You have joined us today for our manufacturing series, How to Make Your Digital Storefront Shine. A copy of today's PowerPoint and a link to this recording will be sent out to all attendees. While all attendees have been muted, we encourage you to post any questions that you have in the chat or Q&A. And now I will turn the floor over to Jeff.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you so much for having me here today. And I'm excited for all of you that are joining me. This is a lot of fun. So question here, let's see. If there's something in the chat that I'm not seeing, please, interrupt me. That is completely fine. And I just want to double check that you can all see my slides. I might have to kind of go in and out of slides and then seeing. In fact, let me open up the chat here just so I have that. Well, might be, there we go. There's the chat. Okay. So just real briefly about me, Jeff Long here with True Focus Media. I started my marketing agency in 2003, and we primarily work with industrial and manufacturing companies. So I know that's kind of the focus here today. And I'll be talking about, as you can see there on the slide, the 7 things manufacturers should do to automate marketing, get more e-commerce sales, and boost SEO. So that's kind of the framework we'll be talking about here today. Now, my company, we do these 4 things. We do marketing automation, website design, development, and e-commerce, video marketing, and then we do some e-learning. That's kind of where all of our services intersect. The video, the web, some of the marketing. We do some innovative e-learning things for training, for safety, for setup, things like that. But before I kind of get into this, I would really like to know, what products do you sell? Or what products are you looking to sell? So do you mind just posting in the chat some of the products you sell, or if it's easier to post kind of the industry you're selling to? I just want to make sure that I'm understanding you a little better so that I don't talk above you or under you or anything like that, right? I want this to be highly targeted and something that is beneficial to you so that you can take actionable items in your business. So, okay, good. All right, nice, yeah. So we got some really good stuff here in virtual courses. Nice. Yeah. Got some good stuff here in a wide range, which is really helpful. So everything I'm about to talk about is applicable to these industries, to these things you're looking to sell and some of these things. So, what I'm about to say, obviously translate that into your business, into your ideal customers, and that will help you. So yeah, I really appreciate all of you posting there in the chat. That's a big help. All right, so my goal for this webinar, I like to think that's me there, the guy with the blue shirt, not quite so much. But my goal for this webinar for you is I want to give you a strategy to help you get more leads, boost SEO, and increase sales. And SEO, if you're not familiar with that, we'll talk about that. That pretty much just means your Google rankings, right? Where you come up in a Google search. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I also want you to be able to do more with less. Okay, so some of you, maybe you have big teams or you have a marketing person. Some of you, maybe it's just you or a smaller team. And the strategies I'm about to talk to you about can be done with big teams or small teams, but it can be done more with less, which is really beneficial. And it'll help customers come to you. All right, so here are the stair steps we'll be talking about today. This might seem like a lot. It might seem overwhelming. And I want to maybe calm some of your thoughts. Is we're going to be talking about a lot of things today here. I don't expect, nor do I want you to implement all of these this week, this month, this year. All right, I want you to take one or two tips, strategies, or things we talk about here today and work on implementing those. So, just write down one or two things that you want to take away from this. All right, so next thing I want you to post in the chat is like, what size company do you work for? Or, is it your company? Are you single-owned employee or a small business? Or are you, entrepreneur? Do you work for a big company? Okay, yeah, thanks, Emily. Thanks, Rebecca, yeah. So if it's just you, solo, yep, that's fine, yep. Yeah, this is great. Me, myself, and I, wow, a 3-person company. 135 employees, fantastic. This is good. Yeah, super helpful. Thank you all. This is, yeah, keep them coming if you haven't yet. So we have a good scale, right? From single person company to, I think it was 133, 135. Let me see there. 135, there we go. So that's fantastic. And I've worked with small entrepreneurs over my 19 years in doing business. I've also worked with some of the biggest companies in the country. One of my clients is the biggest private company in the US. I think they're over 100 billion in annual revenue. And I've worked with some public companies. So I get it, right? And again, these strategies work no matter if you're a huge company with, a whole marketing team, or if it's just you trying to bootstrap this thing. All right, so let's talk about why e-commerce for manufacturing or any business is important, because obviously that's the whole purpose of this webinar, and the series is more on the e-commerce side of things. So as you know, customers want to shop 24/7, right? No matter what you're selling, if it's a course or art or anything, they still want to see it. They want to get to know it. They want to understand the benefits and the value and the purpose, all those things. So they are doing the homework 24/7. And I find this can be a struggle with bigger companies, right? So let's see, Valerie, I don't know if this is a struggle with you, but sometimes the bigger companies, they want to funnel people to the sales team, right? And I get that, but they're already doing the research, whether it's Saturday night at 10 p.m. or during, official business hours. So whether you're a small business, large business, I want you to think about what content you have on your site and in your marketing that can address somebody when they're researching solutions that you offer. Obviously, with e-commerce, it can be a way to stand out from your competitors. In some industries, e-commerce is not the norm. It's not expected. So you can stand out in a simple way. And then obviously times are changing, right? With in-person sales or trade shows or traditional selling tactics. Sometimes those are less viable. They're shut down because of COVID or other reasons, right? And so we have to look for digital marketing solutions, and e-commerce and some of these digital marketing strategies are a fantastic solution to do more with less. And then e-commerce helps you diversify, helps you experiment, right? Some of you maybe have dozens, hundreds, or thousands of products. And with e-commerce, you can test those out, right? So maybe you put your top 10 or 20% of your products on an e-commerce storefront. You don't have to put them all, just put some of them. And we'll talk about that here in a little bit. And then obviously, this is both good and bad, right? The internet has leveled the playing field. It used to be you had to go through distributors or gatekeepers or other, industries or other gatekeepers, in order to sell your products or services or courses. Now you can go right to the customer. Now I get it. There's in some industries, there are distributors, there are ways where you can't go direct, but that is becoming less and less. So one option with e-commerce is, let's say you do have a lot of distributors or people that sell your products for you. And maybe that's not everyone here, but maybe there's a few. Could you create a white labeled e-commerce store? It doesn't have your branding on it. And maybe you offer this to your top distributors, Or maybe you offer a specific branded store for each distributor. Again, maybe you're not putting all your products, just your top selling products. So just some ideas, because a lot of times when I speak, especially about e-commerce, I get a lot of kickback. Well, Jeff, you don't understand our industry. Oh, that's for, selling to consumers directly. We're B2B. We don't, I get it. But I'm seeing a lot of companies successfully do this in industries that typically were not easy to be on e-commerce platforms. All right, so here's a quote I want you to write down. I want you to commit it to memory. This to me is really informative. Okay, so marketing is everything, and everything is marketing. And I am talking to you, to small companies, right? If it's just you, that can be hard to hear, right? So everything from your business card to your website to how you present yourself, it's all marketing. Now, I'm not saying you have to spend $1 million on revamping your website or your marketing or whatever, but make sure that what you do yourself is some type of excellence. Okay. And if you're not good at it, if you're not good at graphic design or websites or brochures or whatever, e-commerce, hire it out. I've read a book twice this year called Who, Not How. And it's probably one of my top 5 books. And because it talks about, instead of us learning how to do something, right? Especially if you only have a few people in your company, hey, I've got to be the salesperson, the marketing, the fulfillment, the this, the that. You're wearing 20 hats, right? And you're burnt out. Well, what if you found a who that's specialized in what you're trying to accomplish and invest? And I've found personally, the more I invest in other who's, the bigger my business grows from a revenue standpoint, from a capability standpoint. It makes me more robust. I can just be a better company and be more helpful to the companies that I serve. And I get it. You're saying, Jeff, well, we're bootstrapping this thing. We don't have the money. Okay, I get it. But sometimes you have to invest in your company in order to make money. Trust me, I've been doing this 19 years. The times where I invest and I do pull that money out to pay somebody else, it's beneficial, right? So it could even be a bookkeeper, a CPA, somebody like that. Trust me, you'll want to do that. So again, back to marketing is everything, and everything is marketing. So with that, let's kind of get into these stair steps. So the first thing I want to talk about is your marketing, is your business, is your focus customer centric? Okay, what do I mean by that? So let's talk about your website here. Is your website customer centric from its branding, its web page text, and its overall messaging? So here's how you know if your website, if your marketing is customer centric. Count up the number of times it says the word we or I, if it's just you on your site. If your website screams, we do this, we have this, we are the best at this, we offer that. I have a colleague that says, if your marketing has too much we in it, you need to revamp your website or your marketing, right? So if you only talk about yourself or your company or your history or your products or your people, if it's all inward focused, customers don't truly appreciate that. Okay, and I'm not downplaying your company, your people, products, services, history, all of that. I'm not downplaying that, but think for yourself. When was the last time you went to a website and, within the first few minutes, you went to see how long they've been in business? I mean, it's important, but how important, right? All you really care about typically is, can they get the job done? Right? Is what they have beneficial to your problem? Does it solve it? So is your website, is your marketing customer centric? Now, I know it's easy to talk about myself. I know it's easy for you to talk about yourself, right? I'm proud that I've been in business for as long as I have. I'm proud of my products, my services, my team, what we do, but I have to talk about that in a way that's customer centric. So all that to say, this is the foundation of what I want to talk about today is customer centricity, right? That's a big word, probably the biggest word I'll use today. Is your marketing, is your website customer centric? I'm going to harp on this, not just now, but throughout this. All right, next, is your website, is your marketing, is what you offer, is it a learning center? And specifically your website, right? You know that customers are searching 24/7, especially if you sell to an international audience. So will they find helpful content on your site at all hours of the day? Or is it all behind, gated information or downloads or, whatever, where it's hard to get? Make your website, or think about your website as a learning center, not a brochure or not a informational piece or not a place where you only talk about yourself. If you flip that switch and think, oh, my website's a learning center, what content can I create that will answer questions, that will show the products, that will demonstrate your expertise, that will talk about safety or setup or cleanup or whatever that is, having a learning center is beneficial. And again, marketing should be all about the customer. All right, so I want to talk about video. Video is the next step in my pyramid here. And this is what I want to park on, because video to me is a tremendous opportunity, especially, not even especially for the smaller companies, for any company, because in most industries, it's still rare to have videos, demonstrating products, showcasing your expertise, giving FAQ videos. Those are still rare. In fact, I hate the word influencers, but if you look at most influencers, they're video heavy, right? They're primarily video. So why aren't you creating more videos? Well, I did a couple surveys recently. One major reason why people don't want to be on video. Of course, they don't feel comfortable, right? Honestly, I don't always feel comfortable in front of the camera. I kind of have to get geared up, right? But here's my trick. I love teaching and helping people. So that's where video becomes easier for me, and webinars like this, right? I love teaching and helping, and that's where I can give more value. Let me just see if I have a question here. I'm not sure. Maybe not. Or I think I do have a question. Hold on a second. Yeah, sorry. Will the slide deck be shared, Mike? Yes, it will. Yes, it will. So video has a way for you to, again, do more with less. And so I want to talk about some of the different ways to use videos. So again, make it customer centric, and also know exactly who your ideal customer is. Now, this takes a lot of work, okay? And you might have some assumptions, but I want you to know them so well that you can boil them down into like 3 segments or 3 buckets or 3 whatever, right? We call them personas. And you could even name them. Maybe it's their age, their gender, their location, their buying habits, what they're looking for. If you know specifically type person A, B, and C, you can sell to them more effectively. You can talk to them more effectively because you know more of who they are. So let's kind of go into this. So 73% of people are more likely to make a purchase after watching videos explaining a product or a service. Oh, you know what? That reminds me. I was talking about my survey. The survey I ran, I was saying how, yes, a lot of people don't like being on camera. And the trick is, if you can teach and help people, that typically makes it easier to be on camera. So I encourage you, create videos where you feel like you're helping, you're teaching, you're giving value. One reason why people weren't doing videos is they didn't have a strategy, right? They kind of felt like, well, I don't know what to talk about. I'm going to give you a strategy here today called video value bombs. All right. So stay tuned for that. I'm kind of teasing that. I'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But 73% of people are more likely to make a purchase after watching videos explaining a product or a service. So let me ask you this. How many videos do you have explaining your products and services? I would guess not much, right? Not many people have videos explaining their products and services. So what do you do if you have a lot of products or services? Well, pick your top 20%, right? What are the products or services that are bringing in most of your revenue? Make videos on that, explain the benefits, give case studies, talk about, companies or people that it helped. Ask your customers for video reviews and video testimonials. Those are really beneficial. And then the average B2B customer watches 30 minutes of video before making a purchase. Again, since that's true, what videos do you have? And then lastly, 75% of manufacturers plan on using video on their website this year. And again, that could be, maybe you don't consider yourself a manufacturer. I fully get that. But videos are becoming expected, right? So I just want you to think on your buying experience. Even when you go to Amazon or others and there's a video, I know me, I see the pictures on the little deck there, and I see if there's a video, I typically go to the video first. I know years ago, Zappos.com, the shoe seller, they were employing video teams like crazy because they wanted to video all of their shoes and products and get that up on the website. So, if the big companies are doing that, why aren't you? So, and there's ways where you can do it, right? I mean, we all have, a smartphone, right? We all have, well, not all of us, but most of us have a smartphone or a webcam or things like that. It doesn't need to be, $1 million budget. It can be affordable. So let's talk about SEO. And there's kind of 4 steps to this SEO that I want to talk about. And the first one is videos help lengthen the time on your website, right? So videos are beneficial to SEO, which just means your Google rankings. When you type in a search word or a query or whatever, if your website has video, it'll come up higher. It'll have a better chance of coming up higher, right? I can't make any guarantees because I'm not Google. So videos increase the time that people are on your site because they're watching the video, and that helps your SEO. And reading is better, or excuse me, watching is better or more effective than reading these days. I mean, let's face it, most people are either too lazy to read or they just want to watch a video. I mean, I'm putting myself in that bucket too. Okay. Now I know some of you are like, Jeff, I would much rather read. I get that. I'm not saying everyone wants to watch, product videos, but it's something to consider. And then unique ability. I think this is a big opportunity. Videos help you stand out, right? When there's a sea of competition, how are you different? And sometimes it's just that you are you, right? If I know I have a product, A, B, and C, and one product is maybe from a different country, I can barely understand the description. And then, one product has a video of you talking about the benefits or even the background of why you created it or the course you have, what you're going to learn. I'm going to go to that one. Right? Even if it's not high quality, even if it's not perfect, even if you say ums and ahs like I do, I would rather buy that because I'm buying from a person. Same thing with big companies. Is there, I'm seeing this in the chat. Is there audio or do you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Jeff.
Okay.
Only one person said they couldn't, so
okay.
I gave them, I gave them some resources in case they need it, but everyone else can hear you fine.
Okay, good. I got really worried. I'm like, oh no, I've been talking to myself for 20 minutes here.
Nope.
Yeah. Which isn't atypical. But unique ability, right? Videos help you stand out because it showcases you. And this is true with big companies, right? People want to buy from people. So even when I work with huge companies, we still want to put somebody on camera that can be relatable. Okay. And then lastly, Google. So Google loves videos. Google owns YouTube. Obviously, YouTube has videos. And so Google favors websites that have videos. So if your website has video, and then we're not even talking about other social media platforms. Of course, Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and TikTok and all of those are pouring tremendous resources into video. So I can't talk about this enough. You're probably going to get sick of me talking about videos, but this is key. So let's talk about the sales process, right? I'm going to sound really smart. I'm going to break this down into 3 simple steps. We'll see how simple here. First, pre-sale. All right, we're going really simple. Next is during the sale. And lastly is post-sale. Okay, these are very simple. I should have warned you more. So I want you to think, what content can I create? Yes, we're talking about videos, but what other content can you create? Whether it's FAQs or articles or case studies or white papers, videos, of course. What content can you create that will help automate this process? Okay, so when somebody's searching on your website or when they happen across your social media at 2 in the morning, because they're up late, maybe they've got a newborn or something and they're just kind of scrolling through, doing some research. Before they know even who you are and what you offer, what do they need to know? So think about some content that you can create for pre-sale material. Same thing with during the sale. What do they need to know right before they buy? And then lastly, post-sale. What do they need to know once they've purchased your product, right? For that online course, maybe it's hey, thanks for signing up for our course. Here's how to log in. Here's if you have questions. Here's, some considerations. Here's our FAQ page. We're excited to, have you get started, blah, 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 right? So there's even emails you can send after the sale, but videos are beneficial as well. So what are some videos or content that you can create for that? All right, now let me give you my 4-step strategy. I call it video value bombs. All right, I'm really excited about this because some of the companies that we're doing this with, it's been awesome. All right, so it's a 4-step strategy. So number 1 is create regular video content. Now, thinking about the last slide, the pre-sale, during the sale, post-sale, what content do you need to create with that? When we're working with the companies we do this with, we have a roadmap of kind of start to finish. What do we need to create every step of the way through the buyer's journey? And this can be different if you have different customer avatars or personas, right? So maybe, some of you are looking for, you're trying to work with executives or marketing people or whatever. Some of you are just trying to find consumers to buy this in certain interest, right? If you're selling art, well, that type of person might look like this, this, or this. And you want to build your marketing after that. So with your content, make sure you know exactly who you're talking to, okay? And that's fine. To have that. So number 1 is phase 1, create regular video content. We did this with Stober Drive. So if you go to stoberdrives.com, there's a news button there, and then there's a power tips. I'm not going to play the videos just because of bandwidth and whatnot. Sometimes it can lag. But we started this pre-COVID, right before COVID. And because we had these marketing videos in place, once everything shut down, their salespeople, and they have, I think it's like 100 some salespeople, their salespeople had digital marketing tools at their disposal. So a lot of these videos are based on common questions, are based on things that people are searching, are based on things that have high value. And so we're doing a series of 24 of these videos. We drip one out a month. And then I'll talk about how the content snowball here in a second as it builds on each other. So we have these videos and they're short. They're typically 2 to 4 minutes and they're customer centric. All right. Now, step 2 is lead generation, because 65% of manufacturers don't have a specific goal for generating digital leads. And I want to ask you that. I want to ask you that as well, right? Do you have a goal of leads from your digital marketing? Most people don't, right? We're just kind of shooting in the dark. So at the end of some of your videos, not all of them, right? But some of your videos, you could say something like, hey, if you liked this content, check out my free guide below where I go into, the 3 steps to blah, 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 or the top 5 tips to blank. Okay. So offer a a spec sheet or a white paper or a case study or a tip, tips. I've offered equipment list before in some of my downloads, but be thinking again, the more you know your customer, the more you know what they're going to need. One option is give them information that is very helpful, but it also helps show the need for you and your products and services, right? So, you might be giving them something of high value, but after they read it, they're like, you know what? I think I do want to hire that person. I think I do want to buy their products or their services. Not to trick them, obviously, but to kind of guide them towards what you have to offer. Now, videos attract 300% more traffic and help nurture leads. So when you're offering these leads, video is a great place to do that. So here's what we did for Stober Drives, right? So at the end of this video, there's a little pop-up. We have a special video player that says download Stober's torque arm mounting best practices, right? Obviously, they know their ideal customer. Their ideal customer is very specific. It's not you or me. And so they can offer very specific downloads. And they also have the same call to action, like on their social media. They have it in the link, right, in the comments. We actually have a special player that has a call now button directly on mobile phones. So if somebody's watching this on their mobile, which is a good chance they are, they can click the call now button and call right to somebody to either ask a question or buy the product. All right, step 3 is the lead nurture strategy. So once you have somebody that's signed up, you want to create automated email sequences to keep them engaged. Now, I will say this. It's easy to want to go for the sell, right? As you're automating your email sequences, say, hey, I noticed you downloaded this. Do you want to buy that, right? Try not to do that. Try to add more value. It's fine if you hey, in your email follow-up, say, hey, here's another tip I recommend. Hey, and if you're interested in blah, 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 buy now. That's fine, but make it value-based first. That's where you'll get more traction. Companies that nurture leads get a 45% increase in their ROI. And then number 4 is distribution. So distribute the videos, right? Rotate and repost the videos every month, because the more videos you post, the better results you'll get. So if you're doing one a week, even one a month, imagine that snowball, that content snowball gets bigger and bigger as it rolls down the hill. Now, when I'm working with our companies, we have like 40 plus different places to put these videos every month, but here are a couple that I recommend. Obviously, your website. If you have an email newsletter, that's a definite. Your email signature. I mean, I don't know if you're like me, but I send out too many emails every day, every week, every month. Have a little blurb in your email signature that talks about your video series or your quick tips or your whatever you want to call it. Have it recommend that. Obviously, if you have an e-commerce store, have video content on each product page. I mean, it's a no-brainer. And then, of course, LinkedIn, Facebook, any social media. And then, of course, YouTube. All right. Definitely want to be on YouTube. And then also, this is a kind of a ninja tip. Different platforms like different formats, right? So some want widescreen, right? So if you hold your phone like this, so typically YouTube and your website and things like this. Anymore, though, a lot of videos are more vertical or square. So just be thinking about the platform and what they expect. A lot of times you can kind of Google, hey, what dimensions does this platform want? And they'll give you best practices. We're seeing more and more square and vertical becoming preferred. I guess we're too lazy to, hold our phones from this to this, right? It takes a lot of time, right? But just be thinking about that. All right, so let's go back into pre-sale. Here are some non-video ideas, all right? We'll kind of go quick here. So what could you create on your website that, that would help make the buying decision easier? So quote calculators. Some industries, it's really beneficial for somebody to get even a range of how much a thing could cost. I worked with an industrial IoT company in Internet of Things, and none of their competitors would put pricing anywhere. So they said, let's do the opposite. And we created this custom quote calculator where somebody could have these dials and sliders and inputs, and it would give a range. Hey, based on what you gave us, we might charge between X and Y. And granted, that was a fairly broad, but it gave kind of like a good, better, best type of scenario. And that's been really beneficial. Another thing is a custom request for quote. Some industries, this is very beneficial. So Monahan Tooling has, before we worked with them, they had this quote form that was a mile long. So what we did is we determined, hey, what's only necessary to be on the quote form. And then we broke it into separate pages. So I think it's like 4 sections long. So it's just easier to kind of go one section. You're like, oh, that was easy. And add another section and another section. And not all the fields are required. So they can go back and they can add more later. So this could be a simple 3-step form field or something, right? So just be thinking, what could you have there? Let me go back a second. So with pre-sale, could you have social media videos that are lists of things, right? Top 10 list are popular. Product comparisons. So you could compare your own products. If you have many products, compare A, B, and C, and why the customer would prefer A or B or C, right? You could even compare you versus your competition. Personally, I'd want to make sure it's, I don't want to trash my competition, right? So kind of tread lightly there on your comfort level. Pros and cons, pro and con of your products could be beneficial. Industry trends. This is where I think, influencers influence, right? They showcase their expertise. So what could you showcase your expertise with? So maybe it's industry trends. Maybe it's stats that you've read and you comment on them. Maybe it's big companies doing whatever and how that applies to your industry or to your company. So the more that you can showcase your expertise, the more that people will know, like, and trust you and buy your products and services. All right, so pre-sale videos. Let's talk about some of these. So I have a list here. I'm not going to talk about every single one of them, but FAQs are tremendously beneficial and fairly easy to make, right? So take your top 10 pre-sale questions, create a short video for each one. What's the expected ship time? Hey, create a short 30-second video on that, right? And so you could even have the text on your website. You could have the text and then video under it. So if they want to read, they can do that, or they can watch the video. Virtual 360 videos. Let me see here. Let me go back here. Oh, I think that's in a different slide. So those are just some of the pre-sale videos that you could create. So these are just some of the ones we've done. This far left one is a product demo. The middle one is Stober Drives. We did an application support video, meaning we wanted to highlight the people that support the products and services, right? So we interviewed different people. And then this is a big, this far right one is for Cargill. They did a big 600,000 square foot facility, and we interviewed different key people. We did some virtual tours. We've done a couple things over the years. And so those are more on the larger scale. And then virtual tours. Now, let me show you this. I think this is really cool. And let's see if the link doesn't work. Anyway, I think in the slides, it's linked to the actual virtual tour. So when you get the PDF slides, that will be linked. Check that out. But anyway, on a virtual tour, you can move your mouse, or if you're on a phone or tablet, you can, with your finger, you can move around, you can advance almost like you're walking through the building. And those little dots, the green, pink, blue dots, those are videos or text or different things that pop up that are informational. So granted, this was more of a construction site that you see on the screen here, but how could you use virtual tours, especially with, in the age of COVID where people can't or don't want to travel? How could people virtually come to your building, your storefront, your facility, your where you make the products, whatever? Now, granted, this doesn't work for everybody, but I just wanted to throw that out. All right, so during the sale, let's talk about content and videos for during the sale, right? So FAQs, again, what can people expect during the sales process? Create content for that. Product demos. I mean, if you're not demonstrating your products, you really, really need to be. Talk about the setup, talk about the safety, talk about some of those other things that your customers want to know. Case studies. How did customers or how did your ideal customer benefit from the product, the course, the whatever you're selling? Even for you that were creating art, I could scroll back. I'm sorry, I don't have your name in front of me. There's still a benefit, right? Maybe it creates peace, your artwork does. Maybe it gives inspiration. What are some of those maybe intangible things that your customers have mentioned of reasons why they buy your art? Okay. And then here is one of my favorite tips, the webinar cut-up strategy, I call it, right? So we're on a webinar here. If you were giving this webinar, you could get the recording, you could cut it up into little segments, little chunks, and then you could have that for your marketing. Again, think of that video value bomb strategy. When we work with companies, we have a roadmap of questions we ask, and we ask the subject matter experts, and then we cut up that interview into little video value bombs. And we put it on their website, on their social, on tons of different places. And then we do what we call content multiplication, right? So we have video content. Now we can pull out quotes and have quote graphics. We can write articles based on that same content. We're multiplying that one piece of content into several. So with webinars, you can do the same thing, right? Have a webinar, even if hardly anybody shows up, you can still cut it up into little video value bombs. You can still write short articles. You can still have it on social, on your website, YouTube, and all those places. All right, so I get excited when I talk about that strategy. I think it's really cool. Now, obviously, ask the person that's doing the, if you're doing a webinar for somebody else like I am here, I have to ask permission and go through those steps. You want to make sure that you get approval for that. All right, the last few things here are post-sales. What do customers need to know after they've made a sale? So setup, install, no-brainers, right? Safety, what do they need to know now that they've bought this product? And some of these can be pre-sale or post-sale. Troubleshooting, okay? Hey, they've plugged the thing into the thing and the thing doesn't work, right? How do they fix the thing? So troubleshooting, FAQs, and then e-learning and a customer portal. I was excited when I saw somebody doing some online courses and training. I think no matter what size company you are, this can be something hugely beneficial. In fact, write this down. I use a piece of software called Loom, LOOM.com, and it lets me record my screen or my camera or both. So a lot of times I'll create these short, almost like e-learning videos that we can use as a content library, right? So when one of our clients launches their new website, we have some video content that's either already recorded or we record it custom for them. And so it sure beats if we can't meet in person, then they can watch it anytime they want, right? They're not calling me at all hours of the day. They can watch this at their time. It's more convenient for them. They don't have to pick up the phone and interrupt their day. So how could you use e-learning or a customer portal or something where they can log in, they can view either generic pre-recorded videos or custom content that will answer these questions? This to me is something that many companies, especially large ones, aren't fully taking advantage of. All right. So we're on the home stretch. The last one is automation. Okay. All of this that I've talked about helps you automate your marketing, your sales, your customer service, your outreach, all of this. So I want to ask you, how can you automate, how can your website automate processes for your customers and employees, right? If you have employees or contractors or team members, whatever, what could you do to help train them, to help make things more efficient? Again, a lot of times I'll record videos and send it to my developer or my designer, my video editor, whatever. And it just helps show exactly what I'm talking about. Because I could call them on the phone and say, hey, that thing that I'm thinking in my mind, but I have to, tell you for 20 minutes. No, I can in a minute or less, I can show them using these pre-recorded videos. Also, think about custom contact forms that route to specific people in your company. So if you have multiple people in your company, maybe it's a kind of like those choose your own adventure books, right? So maybe on the contact us page, based on what they check on the form, it can route to specific people in your company. Again, thinking about how to automate things. If we could save 5-10% of your customers' time or your employees' time, imagine the benefit that will help everybody. Back to e-learning, corporations save between 50 and 70% when they replace instructor-based training. All right, so you not only save your time, you save your customers' time, you make it more convenient. It's more cost-effective to do because you can create it once and you can use it for a while. You can, tweak it, of course, but you don't have to keep giving the same presentation every single day, every single week. In fact, just yesterday, I was talking with an owner, or excuse me, not an owner, but he kind of does HR and training for franchises across the Midwest. And we did a series of 10 training videos for him and for this company. And he was saying how beneficial it's been, where he can just kind of walk out of the room and let them watch these training videos. He doesn't have to lose his voice, multiple times a week or a month as they train new people. All right, so let's review these 7 things. So number 1, is your marketing, is your website, is everything customer centric? Number 2, how could you think about your business from a learning center perspective, right? How can you teach and train? And that's easier to kind of sell things when you're kind of that industry expert. Number 3, video. We talked about a ton of video stuff. 4, pre-sale. 5, during the sale. 6, post-sale. And then 7, automation. If you use some of these things, again, I don't want you to try to use all of them. You're going to get overwhelmed. What are 1 or 2 of these things that you think you can use? Can you hear me? I think I might have just pressed mute on myself, but anyway. So I want to know, put in the chat, is there anything you feel like you either could do yourself of these 7, or that who, not how principle, right? Who could you hire or get to do this for you? It could even be an intern or it doesn't have to be expensive, but they should know what they're doing. I would say hire an expert because they're going to get you there faster, right? They already know how to get the results. They're not kind of learning on the spot or learning on the job. So I'd love to know some things you think you want to implement. The last thing is there's just some information there about me, my website, and LinkedIn. Like I said, I'm based in Ohio, but serving the world. That's for sure these days. And then lastly, I have some free resources and guides on my site on website optimization, on video marketing, and e-learning and training. So those might help you get even more tips than what we talked about today. So anybody have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat or in the Q&A area. But any questions so far?
All right. Also, while everyone is posting their final questions in the Q&A or the chat, I'm posting a link to a 1-minute survey about today's webinar, which is required by our funders at the Small Business Administration, so that we can continue to offer these no-cost workshops. Additionally, our team is providing office hours where Jeff can answer any individual questions that you guys may have. I'm going to post a link to that as well that you can use anytime between 1 and 2 p.m. today. No registration is needed.
And those are a lot of fun to ask specific questions, right? So that open office hours, it's kind of you join in and you just ask your question directly, and we just go into it. Let's see, I think I saw. So Alice, I'm going to give out a 1-day training twice a day. I was thinking of, so I'm reading this out loud, obviously. I was thinking of creating a video and let the students watch the video during this 1-day training to save time. Someone pointed out to me this is not authentic because it's not live training. It's like cheating. I think it depends on how you market it and the expectation of your customer. Right. So if you say, hey, I normally give this training and it's, this long, and normally it costs this much, let's say $2,000, $10,000, whatever. But I've actually systematized this. I've created an online course where you can watch it anywhere, take it anytime, rewatch it, and it's less, right? It's $500, whatever. So I think if you position it in a way that's beneficial to the customer, I don't think that's unethical. But you don't want to surprise people. You don't want to say, hey, I'm giving this 1-day training, and they sign up and you're like, hey, here's the videos. They're like, wait, what? I thought we kind of had some live interaction. So just be thinking about that. Yeah, good. Any other questions? And I think if I could boil it all down, it is about that automation, right? So what can you create once that will be able to live for a while? And that's why I talked a lot about video, right? And so anyway, what types of videos would you make for digital products? Yeah. So Emily, tell me what kind of digital products you have in mind. I've worked with a lot of different entrepreneurs and digital products over the years. That'll kind of help spark some ideas. PDF downloads for therapists to use at work. Yeah, so a couple ideas. One is to take the, so let's say you have a digital download and it's 10 tips to do this. One idea is to create videos on like the negative side, like 3 reasons why therapists are failing at blank. And you got to be careful with the negative. You don't want to be like too negative, right? Especially when you're working with therapists and that type of field. But just be thinking about like, what's on the opposite side of your digital downloads or your digital products. Think about, again, positioning yourself as that expert. I think showcasing your expertise so that when you do ask them to buy now, they trust you, they know you. Yeah, you might not be the only or the top expert in the whole field, in the whole wide world, in the history of humanity, but I know you, like you, trust you, and the information you've given me for free has been so valuable that I can only imagine what you're giving me when I pay you. So those are some other things. I mean, webinars are helpful. Even being on podcasts or other people's podcasts or hosting your own. Also, how could you leverage the power of other influencers or experts' platforms, right? So how can you serve them well? Could you go on their webinars and give helpful content? Could you go on their podcast? Could you create videos for them? In fact, this is a tip for anybody watching. What content could you create that maybe it's less about you and less about selling your stuff and more about your industry? And then you talk to different industry gatekeepers, experts, influencers, and say, hey, I have this content I'm creating. I thought maybe it would be helpful for you to post it or tag it or whatever. And then all of a sudden, you're kind of riding their coattails. So those are just a few ways, Emily, to use videos that, you could sell digital products. But I think a lot of it is study Donald Miller's story brand process, right? I love it. It talks about a lot of the things I talked about today, meaning being customer centric and how you are not the hero to your customer. Your customer wants to be the hero. You're just the guide that helps them get to be the hero. And so he has this kind of cool roadmap. And I really recommend for any business, whether you're selling digital products, art, you have 133, 135 employees. StoryBrand is a fantastic process to go through. It's a book, course, material. It's all that. Any other questions?
All right, I will give a minute or so left for questions. Jeff, thank you so much. We hope to see some of you following this presentation during our office hours, which is right after this, 1 to 2. And as a final reminder, we really would love if you could fill out that survey for us. I don't see any more questions, so I think we're all set to go. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your week, everyone.